I know what you're thinking. No, not another trivet video. Well, maybe care for some flowers instead? Now you might ask yourself, when has he ever done a trivet video? Well, it did happen more than a year ago. So this project has been lying in wait for quite some time, and now I got around to actually finishing it. So I invite you to watch this historic project. For this project you need a number of thin strips, and the method I used to make them is certainly not the safest one. It only works because I had A. still some support for the cutoff from the inside plate, and B. a push solution that pushes the cutoff through as well, achieved by a sacrificial piece screwed to the end of the push block. The pieces I cut up were offcuts from other projects. After laying out some preemptive designs, I take a number of bright colors, pour them into small plastic shot glasses, which I really like for this kind of use, and water them down a bit. Based on my vague thoughts regarding patterns and such, I decide how many pieces get which color. Incidentally, I could have reached the same distribution pattern by applying the strange concept of dividing the strips evenly. To preserve the dignity of my workbench, even though it's just particle board with a fancy fake veneer, I add some plastic foil. With a brush I apply the watery colors all over the pieces. Don't be afraid to touch wet color in order to catch the last bit. It washes off easily and saves you quite some time. Also, since the color is not supposed to cover anything, one coat is enough too. Now comes the weaving part. Depending on your wood, you can do that right now and be fine. But if you want to make sure that you can weave without worry, you should put the strips in a pot of boiling water for a while to soften them up. In theory, you do not need the chicken wire riser, but I used it to reduce the dangers of boiling the color out of the wood. On the other hand, this might not be an issue with the color you used, or you want to go all out artistic and use that effect to your advantage. After, say, 50 minutes, the wood should bend rather easily. Now weave the pieces together to make the pattern you want, from plain square weaves to more complex ones. Square trivets are easy to make. They follow the over-under pattern in both directions, making the structure rather sturdy once it is done. You could leave it like it is now, but I wanted to flatten it some. Not only to make it even sturdier by forcing the wood closer together, but also to achieve a lower profile. To do that, I tried using tiles weighed down or even clamped together, but that did not really work out too well. Oh, at that point I'd also trimmed the ends, thinking that it would make it easier to get the strips bent the way I wanted. In the end I achieved good results with small pieces of wood clamped to the parts I wanted to bend after steaming them soft for a little bit. And as it turns out, this experiment worked at least as well, adding an additional strip as a kind of bending foam to the softened ends. And well, I still have the pieces here. And after I made it, it occurred to me that, well, yes, you could use this as a trivet, and it looks really neat for that. You could also make something as wall art or hang it this way, and you can also make rather decorative pieces. This was supposed to be a flower, and the point here, as you can see on this one, is to lock them in place by putting them, well, above and below and above again, in such a way that they're holding themselves in place. Here you can see I have one that is on top here from your perspective and below here, and always vice versa. So this is pretty stable. If I take one out, the rest pretty much comes apart. Something I did on my last piece, the stripes were pretty bowed, and so I decided to clamp them. And I decided to use this floorboard because it has this nice surface, and I thought it might not be non-stick, but it'll help. and I clamped it like that. This nice surface is on the outside. So here's the other, well, art piece that I made, and it hasn't come off yet. So maybe I can convince it. Can you see the marks it left on here? So thank you for watching after all this time, and I hope you get inspired to use some scrap wood to actually make, well, trivet, wall art or whatever. Vice versa, who knows. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this project, there are many more on my channel. Please subscribe so you don't miss anything, and there will be new projects coming up soon. Thanks for watching, and remember to be inspired. Nothing like a glass of hot linseed oil. Damn, that's hot. I think I need a trivet.